Arabella Glanville is more than the sum of her roles, though they're impressive, spanning from Mission Impossible 8 to Netflix A Whole Lifetime. As an award-winning actress, screenwriter, international model, and UN Human Rights Ambassador, she's constantly shifting between identities, both real and fictional. In this candid conversation, Bella reveals what anchors her, challenges her, and how she writes a narrative that's unapologetically her own.
Thank you so much, Arabella Glanville, for joining us here at AwareNow to share this space and share your story. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So let's begin this way. You have embodied characters in everything from high-stakes action films to thought-provoking dramas, while also using your real voice as a UN ambassador. So my first question for you today is, how do you shift between playing fictional roles and then standing in your own truth when the performance ends?
Love that question, because I feel like my answer to that question has changed a lot over the last few years, especially since I went into film. Because when I actually came from theatre, so when I went into film, I thought, oh, this is like a completely different job. And everything, the camera picks up everything, every mannerism, absolutely everything. So rather than doing what I did on stage and being big and really trying to embody certain characteristics and movement, I said, well, because the camera picks up everything, every little mannerism, every little facial expression, I'm going to be a method actor. I'm going to try and be a method actress and really embody these characters and be them and see what it's like to be in that mindset. And the first time I did that, I was playing a gothic character with PTSD, and I would dress up as a goth character, and I would actually go into nightclubs in this place called Camden in London, and I would nightclubs specifically for the goth community to really be this character, and I would introduce myself as this character. And it can be really heavy when you do that, because, you know, taking on traits of someone who has experienced PTSD is a lot, especially as well. It was a couple of years after that, I had a role where I was playing a female psychopath. And that really fascinated me because I have a background in psychology. That's what my degree was in. So I was playing a female psychopath and watching all these videos and interviews with female psychopaths, taking notes, journaling as a female psychopath. And then I got onto set, and I realized, I think when I did that role, that I don't need to be Bella and then be this character. Because when I embodied something so heavy, I think it's different. It could be different for other actors. I know Daniel Day-Lewis is very big on method acting, but I just didn't feel like what I went through emotionally was necessary once I actually got to set. And I think it's, as you said, I think it's more important to actually connect with my own truth and try and see how these characters might be feeling by thinking about things that I've experienced in my own life. So I want to be Bella when they call action and when they call cut, rather than being disconnected and being one person and then being another person. So that's my current answer for that one.
I love that. It's a great response to always be you. That's the best thing to be, yeah?
Exactly. There's no one newer than you. That's what Dr. Seuss says.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
My favorite authors, I might say.
Such good quotes.
Fantastic. Let's talk about TED. In your TEDx talk, The Myth of Perfection, you challenge societal ideals. How has your own relationship with perfection evolved? And especially working in industries where image and perception are often at center stage.
Yeah, love that question as well. I have had a really, my relationship with perfection has changed and adapted a lot over the years. So before I was an actor, I was a model. And, you know, I make this joke. I still do it. I still do modeling, but in model years, you know, I'm 107 now. So it was something I did full time when I was a teenager. And it's really tough, you know, being in this industry when you're a teenager, because you're constantly, you know, the stereotype is, oh, if you're a model, you are what society sees as perfect. And so I've always said, when you're a model, this industry can make you or break you. You either become really hard-skinned, so nothing can hurt you, or you become really insecure. And some of the most insecure girls I've ever met are also some of the most beautiful girls I've ever met, and girls that society would see as perfect. And I mentioned this actually in my TED talk about the myth of perfection, because I learned from a really young age, and this actually came from being bullied. It didn't even come from modeling it. I think I was just lucky that this happened before I became a full-time model, that it's all about the labels that we take on and give ourselves. It's all about the labels that we take on from other people as well. But we're deciding to do that. So I said, okay, well, when someone's giving you hate, if you take the letter E from the end of the word hate and you put it at the beginning, it becomes E hat. So essentially, when someone's handing you hate, they're handing you an E hat with a label on it. And it's up to you whether to wear that hat or not. And the more you wear, the more it's going to weigh you down. And a mirror is just a piece of glass. And what you see behind it is up to you. And perfection, the definition of perfection is aesthetically pleasing to the eye. It's not, oh, this particular feature, that's what's perfect. If you Google it, it's aesthetically pleasing to the eye. So when someone says to you, I think you're perfect, what they're actually saying is, you're everything I would like to be. You're very satisfying to my eye, to what I see. And everything that I want to be is you. But perfection's a moving target. What I think is perfect is not necessarily what someone else thinks is perfect. So basically, when I was a teenager, I said, I'm not going to wear anyone else's e-hats. I'm going to decide what I see when I look in the mirror and make the definition of perfect to match me, because we all make our own definition of perfect, as I was just saying. So if you can make it match yourself, then you can always be perfect. But I don't even so I said, okay, well, perfect is Bella. So I've just always told myself since I was a teenager that I'm just Bella. And that's, like I said, there's no one newer than you. There's no one else that I would like to be. So honestly, that's kind of been my relationship with perfection since I was a teenager, because that's the mindset that I made sure to have. And so much of perfection is about comparison. And it's so important in any industry, especially in an industry which is so competitive, to never, ever, ever compare yourself to other people. That is not going to help you ever in your self-worth or in your career. I've always said, I'm only ever going to compare myself to who I was yesterday. And how can I be a better version of her? That's actually efficient and practical, because then I think, okay, how can I improve? So I think that perfection doesn't exist.
I love that, and I love how you close that out to say that you only compare yourself with yourself.
Yeah.
And you're not looking outside, you're just sort of looking to you, looking at the mirror. So, let's switch gears a bit from starring in Mission Impossible 8 to being the face of global brands. You've experienced both cinematic and commercial storytelling.
Yeah.
So, question now, what story are you most passionate about telling in your own life that the world hasn't seen yet?
That's really interesting, because I actually had this conversation with my sister the other day. She was like, the problem with you, Bella, is you leave no mystery to the world. Everyone knows everything about you. You share too much about yourself. Like, everyone knows what you had for breakfast on your Instagram. And it's true, there are a lot of things I do share with people. I think I'm like a pretty open person. I think something I push a lot of things about self-love and self-confidence. Something that is very new this is actually how I got involved with people with the United Nations, and something that I am starting to promote more is actually to do with health. So this is a story that's not really out there yet about me. So here's your exclusive. A year ago, I was invited to do this presenting job at a retreat in India. I didn't really have much information. I just knew I was going to India to make a documentary. It turned out, I got there and it turned out that it was a retreat called Ayurveda. It was an Ayurvedic retreat, and I'd never heard of this before. And Ayurveda is essentially, it's the medicine that they use in Eastern cultures, and it's completely different to Western cultures. And I was really open-minded towards it because I'm vegan, and veganism is another thing that I really do try to promote, but I'm very careful with how I do it, because I know that diet is something that can be like a religion to some people, and it's very personal for some people. And I just try to share my truth and facts rather than be pushy about it. But I also really do believe in veganism, and I think it's horrific what's going on in the world with animals. So I was very much open-minded when I got to this retreat, and they were doing, essentially, they were giving you medicine and treatments that revolved around the earth and the things that the planet are giving us. And the fact that, so the way that I can explain Ayurveda in the easiest way is, so in the UK, if you're walking in a forest and you get stung by a stinging nettle, you don't have to keep walking for very long before you come across dock leaves. And then if you rub the dock leaf on the stinging nettle burn on, let's say, your leg, then the pain will go away. And it's not a coincidence that the dock leaves have been placed so close to the stinging nettles. I believe that Earth has given us an answer for everything. I think that we can naturally treat everything, and we just need to pay more attention towards it. There's evidence that turmeric can prevent Alzheimer's. There's evidence turmeric can prevent cancer. Ashwagandha is used as a natural anti-stress pill and an anti-anxiety pill, and it's all natural. And I did this retreat, and so for basically 3 weeks, I was on this Ayurvedic diet. I didn't drink. I also did this thing called a purgation, which completely cleanses everything that's been inside you. And I left this place looking 10 years younger. So basically, I'm in my 20s. So I left looking like a teenager. But I met people at this retreat who it's cured their cancer, it's cured heart disease, it's cured muscle and joint pain. I met people who looked like they were in their 20s, but then had kids in their 20s who had been doing this for 7 years. And it's really a story that I have been trying to tell people, because I think it really does go hand in hand with veganism and a plant-based diet, and how you really don't have to put toxic stuff inside your body. This place completely changed my life. It's actually why I stopped drinking as well, which was really hard for me because I'm English. Brits, it's a very big drinking culture, and I came from that. But it completely changed my life, and it cleared my skin. I stopped getting ill. I lost crazy amounts of weight. I mean, obviously there are other benefits too, like I saved loads of money, but it's not necessarily easy to adopt an Ayurvedic diet into your everyday life.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can do more of it, and when I say Ayurveda, it's not like I'm going to say that and everyone's going to be like, oh, great, I know exactly what kind of diet that is. It basically just means cutting down gluten, not having processed foods, having plants. And this is the best way that I can explain it to Western people, and having more of that. If you're not vegan, then having things like ghee, just things that are good for your body, for your system. So that's actually a story I've not really shared with the world, because it was kind of going to come out in this documentary, but I think it's really important.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and it's you are what you eat, right? So
exactly, your body's temple. Yeah.
It can be really simple that way.
Yes.
That is awesome, and you're making me want to rethink some of my habits.
Yeah.
I just turned 45. Wouldn't mind to look 35, so I might have to explore this a bit more.
It's the 27-day thing, right? 27 days to make it a habit.
Okay, you've planted some seeds, I will say.
Yeah.
Let's talk now about the fact you, as a human rights ambassador in the film industry, how do you reconcile the glamour of Hollywood with the often harsh realities of the global issues that you advocate for?
It is really hard. It's really hard, because even what I was just talking about, the amount of people that would just roll their eyes in the first 10 seconds of me talking about anything that's not Western, anything that goes against what they've, been brought up to believe in, especially when I say I'm vegan. The only debates I've ever had as a vegan, because people always try to debate with vegans, is because other people try to debate with me. I never bring it up. I never try to debate with people. I've actually got a pretty good answer when people do attempt to debate with me about veganism. I immediately shut it down. I just say, oh, I just do it to get attention, but it's working. So there you go. I think it is difficult to sometimes have a voice when you're really trying to be an activist about anything. And it's just about fully believing in your truth. And I've always been a big believer in the fact that actions speak louder than words. So I can scream from the rooftops, I could scream from the mountains, this stuff is going to change your life. And Ayurveda is so important. And there's all this evidence to show that it actually prevents disease and cancer. But I think the best way to actually explain it to people is to show it. It's to show the studies that have been done. It's to show, hey, look, I stopped drinking. Look at what it's done to me. Hey, like, I have this diet and look at the benefits. And I really do try to tell people that. And I think that's the most simple way I can put it, because it's incredibly complex. It's always about showing, not telling, when it comes to that. And I think it's hard in Western culture, because I know that the Indian government actually did approach, Western medicine and say, hey, let's work together. We can do something together. We can really save lives. And really controversial thing to say, but apparently, not my words, their words, the Western governments, they didn't like it because it's not going to make money. And, you can say it's a conspiracy, but again, there's a lot of evidence for it. So it's just about saying, hey, I know my truth. I'm going to share it with you guys. Take it or leave it.
Yeah. Well, and I love that. And it's the same thing, with as a parent and having kids. It's like you have to model the behavior, right? You can't just say, do this. You have to do it yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah. That you're doing that. You're leading by example.
It's monkey see, monkey do. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And to your point, it's the showing, not the telling. Which reminds me that my son has show and tell tomorrow, and so
really?
all the things on the list. But yeah, the showing, because you hear people talk, but what do they do?
Yeah.
And so the fact that you're actually doing it, awesome.
Thank you. It's been a journey. It didn't happen straight away. Yeah. But I think it gets to the point, like with the 27-day habit thing, I think it gets to a point where you're like, okay, there's no going back now. Now I'm like, this has changed my life so much. I'm going to keep going.
Yeah. If you just give it a chance and just see, like, dare yourself almost, like, what is this about? And to be curious about it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. So another thing that you've spoken about before is embracing uncertainty. So my question for you now, this is my last one for you today. It's a pretty big one. In moments when you feel that doubt is so overwhelming, what is it that anchors you? Whether it's a practice, a thought, or a person, in everything you've got going on in your world, Bella, what is it that is your anchor?
I've a really specific answer for this, like immediately. I used to actually mention this in one of my talks. I used to really need certainty. It was kind of an obsessive thing. I could not deal with the fear of the unknown. I could not deal with any uncertainty. And I think it also comes with, what a lot of people call anxiety. I don't like taking on labels, but I guess it's a label that I have been given in the past. And I think anxiety comes with a fear of the unknown, a fear of uncertainty, and your head starts flooding with thoughts. And as you said, it is about anchoring yourself to the moment and being present in the moment. And in NLP, they teach you about something called primary questions. So your primary question is the thing that basically drives everything that you do. And you decide, the best part is you can decide what your primary question is the moment you become aware of what it currently is. And primary questions often hold us back. They can be things like, how can I make my mum proud? Which is actually a bad primary question, because then you're putting yourself on a pedestal and everything has to be to impress someone who probably loves you no matter what. A primary question could be, how can I be good enough? Those are pretty common primary questions. And so I changed my primary question to anchor myself, to be more present and live in the moment, to how can I appreciate this moment right now? because immediately your focus then shifts to the now. You stop thinking about the past, you stop thinking about the future, things that might happen or things that did happen or should have happened, and you just start thinking about what's happening right now. So how can I appreciate this moment right now? Well, I'm talking to you and doing this amazing interview, and I'm in LA, and this is my dream place, and I'm warm, and I'm lucky that I get to be warm because it's raining outside. And I could go on and on and on, and automatically I can just feel myself going, even more. And then once you start listing it, and you don't have to say it out loud, sometimes I've been sitting at a dinner table feeling really anxious and overwhelmed. And then I think, okay, how can I appreciate this moment right now? I'm surrounded by my family. I love my family. I have food on the table. I love this food. Chocolate's the best, and you just start thinking about more and more. Where focus goes, energy flows. So the more you start to think about things that you're grateful for, that's only going to be what you can suddenly think about. And it's as simple as that. So the simple answer to that question is, how can I appreciate this moment more? That's all you have to ask yourself.
I love that question. And I love what you just said there, that where focus goes, energy flows. And really, really powerful. Because it's about the now, not what was or what will be, but the now, because that's the only thing we're ever guaranteed is right now.
Exactly. Aware now.
You said it perfectly. Aware now.
There you go. It all links together. It all comes full circle.
It all just comes right here. And for that, I will say I appreciate you in this moment, and always, ever since the moment I found you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been the best conversation.
I really, really enjoyed it. I've enjoyed this space with you, this time with you. Thank you for helping all of us just become a bit more aware now. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.